Hey guys, welcome to the Matt Rundown. This video is going to be for the final thoughts and predictions on the WWE's It Begins 2012 promos. So basically, since these It Begins 2012 promos have been airing on WWE, there's been a lot of speculation as to who they could be for. So I'd like to just get into a couple different possibilities there and let you know my thoughts on that. So the number one possibility, and this is the one that I've heard the most speculation on, is obviously Chris Jericho. I mean, there's the obvious year, 2012. 2nd of January, Y2J. He was asked a little while back where he'd be on January 2nd, 2012, and he said that he'd be working in Hawaii. Now, to me, that, and probably to most of you, that means absolutely nothing. I mean, if it is him, he's not going to advertise, yeah, it's me. I mean, that would ruin all the possibility of surprise there. One thing that I do have to acknowledge when it comes to Chris Jericho is that in these It Begins promos, there's always a little girl in these videos, and there are things said such as, she holds the key to my arrival, and things like that. Now, thinking about Chris Jericho, there's not any diva or anything like that that immediately comes to mind, so I do have to put that in question a little bit. So possibility number 2 is going to be the Undertaker. I think these days, WWE fans, we've kind of conditioned ourselves that anytime there's any kind of eerie promo going on when the Undertaker's absent, that's obviously like something that's going to pop into our heads, you know. I mean, he's had promos every time he comes back pretty much, and a lot of them are eerie. Now this one, it doesn't immediately scream Undertaker to me. If it is the Undertaker, honestly I see it being sort of a different angle for him. Maybe not the Dead Man and not the American Badass, but maybe somewhere in between. One thing that's interesting about the Undertaker, or Mark Calloway, is that he's actually married to Michelle McCool. I don't know if a lot of you know that or not, but that would be something that would make sense if he had a different angle with his wife being there, and maybe that would account for the little girl being in the video. Honestly, if it's the Undertaker, myself, and I'm sure a lot of you will be kind of disappointed as well. Now, while I love the Undertaker, you know, he's a legend, of course. Everyone pretty much expects him to come back. I mean, it's the beginning of the year. WrestleMania's, you know, right around the corner. We're starting the road to WrestleMania here pretty soon, so we're pretty much expecting that, and it's not going to be a shocker. Now, of course, I do think it would be a little early for him to come back. It definitely is a possibility, and it's something that we're pretty much expecting for him to come back here in the not too distant future. So I've even heard from people going as far as to say that the promos are intended for Chris Jericho, but if they're unable to reach a contract agreement with him, then they kind of have the Undertaker as a backup plan, which does make sense in most of these circumstances. So possibility number 3 is going to be the McMahons, in whatever capacity that would be. I can't really say too much. I mean, there's obviously Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon. Shane McMahon is no longer with the company, but my opinion on that is that if you're Shane McMahon, Vince McMahon's son, you can pretty much come and go as you please if you really want to. A few of the reasons that this does make sense to me is because in some of the promos, there are things that have been said, such as coming to reclaim what's his, and rock the powers that be. I am kind of hoping it is the McMahons, because right now, the WWE doesn't really have that solid personality at like that boss type at the top like they have in the past. Now, obviously, you have Triple H, who's the COO, who kind of comes and goes as he pleases, and then, you know, on SmackDown you have Teddy Long, and on Raw you have John Laurinaitis. Now, with John Laurinaitis, as he technically is a heel, I guess, he doesn't really have that. I don't know really how to say it, but he doesn't have that thing that like makes you truly hate him. Like if you look back to old footage of Vince and stuff, I mean, the stuff he did, he would just make you. He would come off as evil intentionally, you know. He would do everything he could to screw you and stuff like that. But with John Laurinaitis, he kind of has this thing where he'll be like, yeah, I'm on your side, and with CM Punk, for example, but, you know, he really isn't, so he's kind of two-faced, whereas Vince McMahon, you know, he'll tell you straight up that he's going to screw the hell out of you, and he'll do his best to do it. Now, sometimes he would, and sometimes he wouldn't, but he was very upfront with that. And with John Laurinaitis, there seems to be a little bit more of a gray area there. So possibility 4, if you want to call it a possibility, is Brock Lesnar. So really the only reason I'm even acknowledging this is for two reasons. The first one, simply because there's been so much talk and speculation, and the second being that Chris Jericho said straight up himself that it was Brock Lesnar. With Brock Lesnar, there's a few problems here, though. The first being that while he retired on Friday night after his loss to Alistair Overeem in UFC 141, he's still under contract to UFC. So that's definitely a problem that would be something that would have to be worked out before he made an appearance back to the WWE. Another thing is that what if he had won that fight and he goes on to fight for the title? Now, a lot of people have said that he threw the fight, which I don't even regard that as a possibility. I think he just flat out lost to someone who was better than him and was better physically prepared for that fight. But one thing that is interesting about Brock Lesnar is that he is married to Sable, so that could, if it was him, which I'm emphatically saying that I don't think it is, but if it was him, that would be something that could be worked in. Now, do I think that he'll never come back to the WWE? That's not what I'm saying. In fact, I do think he'll come back at some point. Now, obviously, his contract situation would have to be worked out. If anyone can afford to buy out that contract, it's definitely Vince McMahon, so we'll see. Yeah, so basically those are the top four that have had the most speculation here. Now, there have been tons of possibilities. I've even heard people go as far as to say it's the NWO. It could be someone that just completely surprises everybody, but I think definitely it's someone that's been there before, just based on some of the things that have been said in the promos. Alright guys, so that's the final thoughts on the It Begins 2012 promos. Just a few updates here. Tomorrow, immediately post Raw, I'll be making a video on the reaction to the unveiling of this person. Also, within the next couple days, I'm going to be posting my video for the DVD review of WWE The Best of King of the Ring. So be sure to subscribe so you can check that out. And follow us on Twitter at the Matt Rundown. Take it easy, guys. We'll see you next time.